Oh, okay. Hello, everybody. It's your boy. It's Corn. How's it going? Today I thought we'd do something a little interesting, and by interesting I mean it's more or less the same shit we've done for the majority of the Corn Draft League winter season, and that's a recap stream. We have a lot of games to really go over the previous couple weeks just because we entered the playoffs. So we had, the round of 8, and then we did the round of 4, and then this week, probably Wednesday or Thursday, depending on if I'm dead or not, will be the finals, which is very, very exciting. So I thought it could be fun to just, do a recap stream. Okay, yes, this one. Kind of going over the playoff games, doing the usual review type thing that we normally do here. And then, I kind of want to also see if assuming time be willing and motivation really, see if we have a bit of time toward the end of the stream to just kind of recap some of our, the players' journeys to the top and where they ended up. I think that could be just kind of fun. I forgot to harass my Discord server. Alright, so let's get into it. So we had some interesting matchups. For the first round, it was players actually had the chance to pick their opponents based on placings, which was really fun. So looking, what the fuck? So based on, the final top 8, which is this basically. Capbomb, Ventus, myself, and JC were allowed to pick our quarterfinal opponents, which was really cool. So Capcom ended up picking Hakurai. They're friends and coworkers, so it makes sense that they'd want to face off at the very end there. Ventus ended up picking Mox Rayo. That was a bit of a meme game, that one was. And honestly, since the last time they played, it was also a fucking train wreck of a meme, so no surprises there. I picked Big Honey because of the players in our league so far. He was the only coworker of mine that I could pick. JC and I think also Siege also work with me in person, but JC made it a bit too high up. Speaking of which, she ended up having to rematch Kick, which I believe was her week 1 I think it was her week 1 opponent, which was pretty funny. So really the first round was all rematches. Every single one of the pairings was a rematch. So we'll just get into the games here. Oh god, where is it? Sure, this one. So, we'll work our way up from, the quarterfinals into the semis. And maybe we'll talk briefly about, the finals and what it may look like. But our first game we're going to watch here, we got Kick versus JC. Should be an interesting one. I will preface, I did watch all of these in person, so I'll just try to be a little bit more analytical. Maybe share some thoughts and opinions. I'm also very, low energy today. I'm just very tired and a little under the weather, so if I don't sound enthused, I'm sorry. So let's just get into it. So we have JC leading with the Golurk here into this Vika Vault. And this is super interesting. I think this Vika is meant to do the sticky webs thing. Yeah, just stickies there. This no guard Stone Edge actually getting the clean 2-hit KO. No surprise, there's a sash. Vika Volt's made of wet tissue paper, of course. Slowking does end up coming out here, which is kind of interesting. as the Aleki actually is the switch in here, which I really like. The Reflect does go up here for kick as the hazards get cleared away, which is really smart. Really don't want to have those linger. I believe this is a dual screens, light play Slowking. The Thunderbolt comes out, only does about 31% through that light screen, as the pivot goes straight into Baxcalibur. And I think this is where the first instance of bad RNG happens. There it is. The first miss is really unfortunate. Being able to actually cripple the Baxcalibur right off the get-go would have been really nice here, but unfortunately it misses. It picks it up the second time, but the Icicle Spear does come out and does pick up the KO. I believe this is Kick's Loaded Dice Dragon Dance variant. He's really favored that pretty much the majority of the season, which I can't blame him for. It is a very good set. But the para there actually is really crippling. As the Roar comes out, forcing a switch right into the Sandy Shocks, which, to be honest, I'm not sure is any better. Sandy is really threatening and actually picks up the KO there because it's getting the special attack boost. And it probably would not have gone down to even a whatever the signature move is. Another Earth Power comes out, does a good chunk as Earthquake actually doesn't KO here through that Reflect. That's super huge. And the Reflect only just now drops, which is so unfortunate. I think being able to potentially find an opening to stall a turn would have been really crucial there, but alas. Here comes the Ogerpon Fire here. Goes for the play rough. Does pick up the KO. But this is looking a little rough already. The low kicks does come out, and this thing is really spooky. But here's the Spiky Shield, actually. Very smart, expecting the first impression. There it is, hitting Spiky. Getting off about 12% damage. Not bad, not bad. Play off does come out, gets that KO. Easy peasy. The low kicks does go down here, so now it's Slowking, I think, to just try to set back up those layers and layers of screens. But it goes down to the Horn Leech in one shot. Ogerpon Fire still picking up those KOs, left and right here. The Baxcalibur comes out kind of just naked. The Play Rough comes out, does a crispy 71%, as the Icicle Spear still actually comes out, rolling through that para. And the damage rolls are just enough to pick up that KO. If that 22 was actually more of a low roll, maybe 19 or 20, this actually would have lived there, I think. And here's the Meowscarada coming out for the first time all season, and it misses the Play Rough, which is so huge. The Play Rough actually hitting there would have easily picked this up. But here's some bad RNG on Kick side too, with the fucking Icicle Spear only hitting 4 times, but the second Play Rough misses. Oh, it's so unfortunate. And this is a banded Meowscarada. So really that accuracy was not doing any favors, unfortunately. And last, and certainly not least though, the Meloetta does come out here. Just picks up the Drain Punch because I think this is meant to switch forms. The Phalanx comes out, goes Terra Dark here. I think it's actually quite smart. But goes for the No Retreat Omni Boost as the player comes out. Actually still does a decent amount here. If I was JC, I think I would have tried to fish for the Relic Song switch, but unfortunately, that is that. And wow, for a way to start off the series, this was such a tight game. I remember I was on the edge of my goddamn seat watching this. Really, this was like a Pokemon game of all time. Such bad RNG for JC, unfortunately. I think may have sealed the deal there. Being able to pick up the, the para onto the Baxcalibur and potentially rolling for another Paralyzed turn early game, may have put Kick on the back foot, but unfortunately that first miss was pretty unfortunate. Because I think being able to protect the Regieleki may have actually been pretty useful there. At the very least, put some pressure onto a couple other mons. Excuse me. The other thing here really is that Baxcalibur living two Play Roughs is so big. My lord, the fact that it, the Play Roughs missed twice and this thing didn't go down, way sooner to preserve potentially, the full health Meowscarada, because I think a full health Meow would have actually done really well into the Phalanx. But unfortunately, it lasted way longer. Having to really go down to the very last Pokemon is so unfortunate. And I know the Meloetta build, unfortunately, I don't think was ever really prepared to deal with the Omni boosted Phalanx. Yeah, I think if anything, trying to fish for that sleep turn on the setup turn might have been okay, but it is a tough sell. I think if JC actually got off the sleep and Meloes shifts into a normal fighting type, it may have been okay, but going Terra Dark in the Phalanx allows Kick to cover kind of both sides, because as a fighting type, it is no longer resistant to opposing fighting types, so Meloda could kind of just get memed there. But such a great game from both players. Really, I think this one was down to the RNG on JC's side being just a little bit unfortunate, but all in all, honestly, great start to this the playoff bracket, and honestly, great season for JC. Really put in the work here. Gone from a team drafted of pretty much just dice rolled Pokemon into probably one of the scariest overall teams in the league is very, very, very impressive. And good lord, this Meowscarada has done literally nothing all season. It showed up, it's been on the team for 4 games, 5 games, I think, total. And this was its one time to come out of the ball, and it gets nervous and just misses. So unfortunate. This is not the music to be playing when I'm talking about sad stuff. We don't want to hear the level up theme. But let's just get into... fucking... Sorry, fiddling with the music a little bit. There we go. Alright, we'll get to the next one here. And this was... I don't know if really this is worth talking about. I'll preface, this game was played between Ventus and Mox, and they had the prearranged idea of everything is carrying a big nugget and everything will fling. I think we'll watch this out of formality, just to get documented into, you know, into the annals of my YouTube channel eventually. I'm not going to slow it down. There's not really a whole lot of analysis to be had here. This is purely for documentation purposes. I even am in the chat and I'm ready to hate every turn of this. See, I already hate this. They both fling on this on go. There's a switch as for some reason I'm not even gonna. How's everyone's day been? Like, you guys having a good day? I'm very tired. I have a little bit of a stomachache, but you know, I'm personally all in all okay. I unfortunately had to watch this game live, which is very offensive. But you know, it's whatever. Yeah, you know, mid-call they're talking about stuff, and I'm like, who cares? This game, you're playing 6 mons with Fling Big Nugget, and it's just very upsetting. You know, stuff's getting thrown around. Who cares? Yep, there's Goldango. Sure, holding his net. I thought that name was pretty funny. Pretty much nothing else about this game was like really good. I mean, there's Fling. Would Nasty Plot Shadow Ball been better? Absolutely. There's this switch in. Oh wow, Fling. That's crazy. Oh, Strength Sap. Oh, actually good. Wow, that's a normalized move. As an SD comes out. Sure. Just Stone Edge or something. Fuck. Oh my god, fuck. I don't know why I even clicked Fling there. I think that was a genuine misclick, but there's some Calm Mind stacking. There's the U-turn. Here comes this thing. It's gonna die probably. Wow, would you believe it? It's a boosted Unburdened Drifblim after it threw its item away. Yep, there's that. That's crazy. There's a second Calm Mind, interestingly enough. Psyshock does next to nothing for some reason. As a Shadow Ball kills, would you believe it? I think Shadow Ball... What? Oh, that was also a genuine misclick, but there's the Hydro Cannon. I think Mox just... No, I remember that turn. Mox just wanted to click the button. So, right here was very offensive because I think at one point Ventus is like, does this Hariyama have Assault Vest? And I'm like, are you fucking stupid? I thought the agreement was everything was Big Nugget Fling, and he was like, oh, I forgot. And I'm like, bro, how? So, here's this. Hariyama can't do anything, because it's an itemless Necrozma. there's the Landorus, I guess. Yep, Warring Sun. Wow. Yippee wahoo yay or something. I don't know. There's like nothing to really say here, guys. Like, okay, Necrozma's like hella boosted, sure. If Photon Geysers, that's crazy. And then I think on the switch-in, it just Photons again, because even at +1, it's gonna kill. Because Landorus is made of paper. Oh, I crit too. That's great. Wow. We're just gonna move on. Sure. Here's a real game. This is, you know, between Capcom, I don't know what his name is this, versus Hakurai. Hakurai here actually taking the advice of some of the folks in the league of actually trying to play his rain team, versus effectively just a snow team. Well, this is a very threatening snow core with Alolan Vulpix of all things, but I guess it's Alolan Ninetales at home, paired with Kyurem, alongside the Espathra, which has been a war criminal all league, the Great Tusk, which has been, you know, paired very nicely with pretty much anything else under Capcom's team, with the Kingambit Ditto to just round things out. And Kingambit obviously is Kingambit. Not really a whole lot to be said. If you're not hitting this thing with like a low kick, you're about to fucking lose. Okay. And then, yeah, so Hakurai is bringing more or less what I would think is a run-of-the-mill rain team based on his draft. He's got Pelipper, Archaludon, Overquill, Landorus. You know, these look really, really good. My only concern is, I don't know what his Archaludon variant is, but he absolutely needs a way to deal with this Kyurem one way or another. I don't know really the best way to deal with this, because Kyurem, depending on this variant, can be super threatening. The issue is, it could be anything. It could genuinely be anything it wants to be. And either way, it's probably going to pick up at least a KO. And then, you know, on the bright side, though, he does have a couple of dark types, which will give him a really good option to this Espathra. But let's get into this game here. I'll set it to slow as well, so I have a little bit more breathing room. So Espathra is the lead here. There's actually, very interestingly, a knockoff from the Pelipper. And I didn't expect it to break there, but I'm not sure if staying in there was the best choice. I personally would have considered going straight into Overquill, knowing Overquill has a really good matchup into Espathra. Also being able to potentially just go for crunches. There's the Calm Mind, second one. Electroshock comes out, gets the +1, but I don't know if that... Well, 36 isn't bad. This is, you know, lefties. Probably goes for... You can go for a sub here, it's very safe. As the second Electroshot actually is the choice. Kind of interesting there. At +2, it's actually also pretty threatening from the, you know, as far as the Archaludon is concerned. And it does force out the switch as the snow gets reset, which is very interesting. I'm not sure what the Snarl is here for, but I suppose it's an option. Pain Split actually is the move here from the Vulpix. Knowing, yeah, this is Sash, so that Pain Split was really well positioned there. Very smart. I would have considered actually going for another attack just to try and pick up the Vulpix, because now the Pelipper... Oh god, yeah, the Pelipper just eats that Pain Split for no reason. And Vulpix could even try to Pain Split a second time. Or the Freeze Dry just rolls that KO. 4 times Super Effective is no joke, fellas. And now this is really awkward, because Hakurai is playing a rain team without the rain, basically, the rest of the game. And there's the Overquill Mirror as a Swords is clicked here. I think if I'm Capcom, I have to switch. There's the switch. Back into the Vulpix, resetting the snow, getting rid of it for basically the rest of the game here. Gungshot actually connects, getting that KO, which is really nice. As the Ditto comes back in, now staring down a boost for free. I don't know if I would have switched there, to be honest. But there's the Terra Ice. Terra Blast actually comes out. Oh, it does a lot, nearly killing the Archaludon. But really, this thing's already on Death's Lord. This is a Scarfed Archaludon. And I honestly would have let it go. I'm not sure about this switch-in. Because, yeah, this Moltres takes over 56%. That's really bad. And it gets 2-shot. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, I disagree with that play, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, there's the, oh god, yeah, even the Roaring Moon comes out, just dies, to a Terra Blast. This Overquill, the opposing Overquill is cleaning up shop here, as actually the Terra Blast Ice nearly KOs, as the Gunk Shot doesn't finish it off. Now imagine if you still had your Swords Dance, you actually would have been okay there. But this is pretty... Oh, okay. Well, there's a struggle, actually, as they trade. Yeah, keep forgetting that Ditto only has 5 uses of its move. And if it's Scarfed, I think... You know, I like Cat Bomb's play there. You know, letting it go is really good. With his Among Us team. There's the Sandseers. There's a decent amount. But, unfortunately, quad weakness to Ice is very bad. And there it goes. Yeah, bit of a rough game for Haku here. I think there were definitely a couple of big turns that were just played just a little bit incorrectly. You know, losing the Pelipper really early, at least I would say very early, was kind of a deal ender for me, because you know, you're playing a Rain team and you're gonna just give up your Rain. That's so bad. As well, I think switching in Moltres instead of just sacking the Archaludon was pretty rough. You know, I would have preserved it if I had a way to heal it. But looking at this team and looking at, you know, Cat Bomb's team, there's not even a grassy terrain user to be seen. So just letting it go would have been so much better as far as positioning. But you know, all in all, I think Haku has actually, I think he's had a pretty good season. You know, being able to make it into the top 8. Going 4-4 in the, you know, the base season is still actually quite good. And I would say he hasn't had the easiest route up to the top, but you know, I will give him, you know, props. A lot of the time he does try to come up with creative answers to some of the you know, the problems that he has to deal with in his opponent's team. So all in all, you know, I think this was a time where he tried to play a little bit more standard, which I think is actually completely fine. You know, I just think there was a little bit of a struggle with the positioning. But other than that, you know, not bad. You know, unfortunate loss, but I expect maybe a little bit more, you know, maybe slowing it down. You know, I'll give him the same advice I gave Big Honey. Take your time a little bit, you know, assess the situation a little bit better. This is not a race. We're not playing, you know, ranked ladder. You know, we don't run timer for a reason. And you know, this definitely isn't VGC where we have to be on a 30-second turn clock, which is ridiculous, by the way. I've played VGC. Shit's scary. But yeah, you know, I think Haku had a very good performance. Going 4-4 in the base season is actually still quite impressive. Given he has had a few, you know, pretty challenging matchups. And very occasionally he is challenged kind of by his own team, which happens, you know. Sometimes you get a little bit too creative, ignoring the base answer to certain things. But you know what? I'm very excited to see his games the next season. Really looking forward to what he ends up drafting, especially given, you know, the plans for next season being 2 divisions, or so, you know, 2 conferences as it were. Could make for a little bit more of an interesting draft situation for him. So we'll just have to see how he comes, you know, what he does when he comes back. But let's get into the next game here. It feels like I'm kind of shotgunning through these, but you know, I apologize if you guys are hoping for more in-depth analysis or, you know, a little bit more jokes. I'm just tired. But you know, I still felt the need of, I wanted to get something out, get something covered. Especially because some of these games are really fun. Speaking of which, I don't know if this one was fun, but I enjoyed it. This was my game versus Big Honey, and you know, my team, I thought I could play something, you know, pretty whatever. I mixed it up a little because I think a lot of people are expecting me to run, you know, one or both Dunsparce variants, but I thought, you know what, we'll try something different. We're gonna run none of them. But you know, we're still running a normal type because it's hard to get away from them. I decided to bring back my original draft idea of the Ogerpon Chiyu core for Fire Water Grass coverage. I really like this pairing. It's so threatening. With Cleavor here at the front. And I forget if this was my Assault Vest defensive Cleavor. I guess we'll find out once the game starts. And I believe this was probably like a Scarfed Enamorus or something, just to outspeed certain threats like the Galarian Zapdos if I really need to. And, you know, looking at Big Honey's team, rather, he's rocking the Noivern, which actually is really interesting. I'm not too sure what it's supposed to do, because I haven't used Noivern in a very long time. I know it has Infiltrator, so it can get around, you know, protection and stuff like that. But given my draft, I'm not sure what it's expected to do. I guess hit hard, hit fast. But he's also brought along Alola Ninetales, which is a classic, you know, for a snow setup. Really good defensive option. Clodsire is back, and I think this may have been the Curse variant, which could be really silly. You know, to round out the team, he's brought along Kingdra. I don't remember if this is Crit Kingdra or not. I feel like it had agility, so it may be the Crit Kingdra. Which scared the shit out of me, because I've done Crit Kingdra math for days. This thing can kill. Like, if it's fully set up, this could just win a game by itself. It actually did that earlier in the season, so I did not want to fall victim to, not necessarily something of my creation, but it was a build I gave him, probably about the midpoint of the season or so, trying to help him out. And good lord, shit scary. And he's got his Donphan, which is I think a really smart option. Helps clear hazards. And especially, you know, people heard my Gliscor in the round of 8, or rather in week 8 of the season, helped me win a game by rocking basically 0 attacks. It was 3 hazards and protect. So I think, you know, Donphan looks super good into it. Also being able to take Ice Spinner to potentially Oko it, really smart. And of course, yeah, that Galarian Zapdos is very scary. I was running Calcs against it for probably days. And good lord, it made me nervous, so I had to thoroughly prepare for it. So let's just get into it here. So I'm leading Cleavor here. Yeah, this is my Assault Vest variant. That was right. So he goes for the switcheroo here, taking away my Assault Vest for a big nugget, which is really funny, but it doesn't matter. Losing my AV actually is real unfortunate, because I wanted this to be able to answer certain things like Kingdra potentially. If it really came down to it, it may leave a hit. But the Stone Axe picks up the easy KO, as I actually go down to a crit head smash. Or not crit, but it was, you know, a full head smash. And we actually trade, which I thought was very silly. And there's the Zapdos landing on top of the rocks, actually. And the rocks were just enough. I'm doing the calcs on this. I needed a rock to be able to kill with the Scarfed Enamorus Moonblast, which was, oh, that was so good. I go for the switch here, expecting to, you know, end up getting hit on the Enamorus, and I don't want to lose it. But here is Chiyu, everyone's favorite freeze target. Ninetales actually goes for a very smart switch out there, as I just kind of go for an overheat just to send it, get damage down. And I don't get frozen, that's why I typed in the chat, not this time, you know. The Blizzard hit, I didn't freeze, and I was like, very happy about that. But here's the Kingdra going for the agility. Yeah, I think this is Crit Kingdra. But I'm an Ogerpon Water, so I'm very threatening. And he goes for the Smart Switch. A Play Rough would have done him in, which I am carrying. There's the Rocky Helmet actually doing a bit of some chip back to me, which is very funny. And I go for the Gliscor switch here because I know the Clodsire can't really do anything to me. He goes for a Curse as I get Toxiced up as I came in. I taunt actually, which I felt very smart about. You know, not being able to curse was just very funny. And I go for the knockout, just get rid of the Rocky Helmet. You know, it doesn't make a huge difference, I think, but I think it saves me a little bit of HP in the long run. And he goes for the switch here, knowing that, like, it'll be a really hard battle for the Clodsire to do anything to me. Earthquake does come out from my Gliscor into the Ninetales. Does actually a lot. The 31% is no joke. I just go for the Protect here, expecting the Blizzard. There it is. I heal back up to nearly full, and I don't remember if I switch here. Yeah, I do switch here. I go back into Chiyu. As the Blizzard does come out, and I think I actually get frozen here. I do, which is very upsetting. I remember being in the call, and I'm like, please don't, please don't. And I thaw turn 1, which is crazy. The Overheat does come out, does, 27% damage. Kind of good chip into this Kingdra. Quad effective, by the way, or quad resisted, and it still takes 27. It's crazy. I go back into Enamorus here, knowing the Surf probably won't kill. There it doesn't. It only does about 53%, and if he goes for Draco, he's just nothing's gonna happen. I forgo for the Moonblast. It's the Clodsire was probably an easy breed, but I felt okay going for it because damage is damage here. He goes for the Recover, which is very smart. But I believe I just taunt on this turn. Yeah, I taunt. I think he tries to go for Curse on me. There it is. So I just start trying to chip this thing down. That was a really fat Earthquake. Turns out not having defense boosting stacks really hurts you. And there's a Stone Edge only doing 13%, which I heal most of it off. Kingdra comes in, lands on the rocks, but Earthquake does come up, gets the KO. And I believe this is mostly just a mop-up exercise here. Yeah, Ninetales comes in, dies to the rocks. And then the Clodsire on only 48% comes in, takes 6, and then will die to this Earth. I switched, that's right. Because I just wanted the Rat Taco to be, to be known. And I'll go for the Pop Bomb for style points. Also because, after I figured out it had Rocky Helmet, I'm like, I'm not clicking Pop Bomb into this thing. I'm going to get rid of it. So, I guess it was a long-term play there. But yeah, even though the game looks pretty one-sided, I felt actually quite nervous. Pretty much the majority of it. Knowing, a couple build differences or a couple of switch options would have really made the game so much scarier for me. Like, if this was Scarfed Zapdos, I was done for. If, like, maybe the Ninetales was, like, an offensive variant, I was really very scared for that. Because I know probably, like, if Scarfed Ninetales would have probably killed, like, Gliscor, and if it was Specs Ninetales, good lord, it would have probably just, like, one-shotted an Amorous. My team was not prepared for, like, some of those really hyper-offensive builds. But thankfully, I did not have to face off against those today. I think for the, for the most part, Big Honey's had, I would say, a rough season. But starting the first half of the league 0-4, and then really fighting his damnedest to get back into top 8 at the very end is insane. That's so good. So really big props to Big Honey, He really put it together this season, and I'm very happy he got to be, my opponent in the quarterfinals. It would something I talked about with some people is the kind of the story of, people's journeys. And good lord, if Big Honey had won or something like that, it would have been the craziest upset in the league. Like, it would have been so cool to see it happen. And I think if anyone made it to the to the finals, and I think if it was like Big Honey, it would have been probably maybe the best comeback kid story that I've ever been a part of. Unfortunately, it didn't happen this season. I'm sorry, I had to be the one to put it into the dream. But no excuses. You have next season. I expect you to be back, at least for the summer split. I know you have things going on in person that may otherwise impede future seasons. But summer season, I expect you there. People are really looking out for you. And in this game in particular, people were calling Big Honey the people's champion. So people, bit of a fan favorite he was, and man, I think he's come a long way, going from, again, 0-4 in the first half, and then going 3-1 in the second. That's crazy. It's so good. And his diff actually improved from, like, minus, I don't know, like 15 or 16 to -2. That's insane. That's so good. So, good job, Big Honey. I'm expecting you to be back for, at the very least, the summer season. Hopefully, I am not in your division, but you know what? If I am, you bet I hope you bring your A game. I want to see it, because I know you can do it. You've shown to this league that you can put it together, so really looking forward to what you can bring for next time. And now we get into the semifinals. We only have 2 games, as is what happens when you go from 8 players to 4. So the semifinals were broken up based on the remaining 4 players and their placement on the original top 8. So Cat Bomb actually plays against the bottom seed. Oh, excuse me. From the original top 8, and then Ventus, because he was 2nd seed, plays off against me because I was not the lowest of the remaining 4. So as far as the game goes, this is a little bit of a redemption match for me because I lost to Ventus. I would say pretty, in a bit of a rough way. I ended up 0-2 that game, but I think I was outmaneuvered. His builds were more on point than mine. So I really felt the need to bring my A game for this one. And if I continue to do Deranged Tech Awards, I would be giving this game Deranged Tech Award. And you guys will see why. As far as my team is concerned, I've brought along, I would say, kind of a different take on what I normally would bring. Cleavor, of course, is back. I believe this is Scarf Cleavor. Scarf Dynamis is also here. I went a little bit heavy on the Scarfers because my loss last time was because I just wasn't fast enough into his threats. So this time around, I wanted to make sure that I could outspeed things. Because I know a lot of my mons have the power behind them. Like Cleavor, even of Stone Axe, is like base, with sharpness like 97 something power off of like a base 130 attack stat. That feels great. But I want to be able to outrun certain things with this, so I gave it a Scarf. As well, Enamorous, really threatening mon, really good offenses. I just need a little bit extra speed. Because if I'm not running Scarfed and I'm running Specs, I could be outrun by, maybe a boosted something or other. So I preferred going a little bit faster to just get off a lot more pressure. To just try to, beat things down. I'm going to skip you for now, but I did bring around a special defensive Pecharunt. It was actually a build I ran earlier in the season with Keyberry. Bit of a favorite of mine. I learned about Keyberry this season, and I ran it on the Pecharunt earlier in the league, and I really like that build. So I decided I'll bring it back this game because, Ventus has a good number of really, pretty threatening physical threats. I think the Pheasantipity he revealed was, physical. Samurot's physical, and the Necrozma, I think he's actually favored more physical builds with Dragon Dance. Because, +1 attack, +1 speed is hard to say no to. So, Pecharunt would be able to live, any special attack hit from, Arboliva, Drifblim potentially. And if push comes to shove, I could probably live something from even Ursaluna. And then, it's all about Malignant Chain spam from there, baby. The Chi-Yu is actually Scarfed as well, so yeah, we ran 3 Scarfers this week. Because, good lord, like I said, I am not getting outrun this time. I lost my first game against Ventus because my Chi was Specs, not Scarfed. Because if we did the numbers at the time, if I had a Scarf Chi-Yu, it was a damage roll in my favor. But I ran a Specs Chi-Yu to guarantee the KO. So this time around, I thought, you know what, we're going to go Scarf. We're going to try and we'll take the risk if he's running a defensive, like Ursaluna or whatever. I'm willing to roll the dice as long as I can outspeed it because I lost to fucking a Scarfed Ursa Blood Moon. And we're not doing that shit again. And then this is actually a fun one. This the Dunsparce is a spin on one of my favorite variants, which is of course Paraflinch. But this is Paraphasing. So this is running Glare, Dragon Dance, Roost, and I think Boom Burst with Throat Spray. And the reason there, it's like a weird mixed Dunsparce, and it's because I wanted a Mon that could, make use of its good special attack, which it actually has a decent special attack stat, with the base 140 power stab move. So Boom Burst with a boost actually is pretty good. And then getting off Paralysis onto majority of the things here is crucial. It's so good. Granted, it would mean like Pecharunt is slightly less useful, but Pecharunt was running Hex this week, so I could still fish for the double damage Hexes. And the Dragon Tail was interesting and kind of a tech choice, because I know Ventus's style has favored a lot of setup variants, where he goes for like a setup sweeper, gets off like a couple Calm Minds with the Drifblim, or Calm Minds with the Ursa, or even Dragon Dances on Necrozma. Just having the option to force a phase felt really good to me, so I thought I'd give it a try. And, we'll come back around to maybe my favorite thing on the team, which is this Kricketune. Of course, it is an offensive Kricketune with Max Attack, Max Speed, and a Focus Sash. And of course it has Sticky Webs, because that's why I drafted it in the first place. But the big thing is, this Kricketune is meant to deal with one thing and one thing only, and it's Necrozma. And you might be wondering, how does this deal with Necrozma? It's a Kricketune. Well, have you heard of this ability called Swarm? Yeah, this is not a Technician Kricketune, it's actually Swarm. So the build and logic is, it is an offensive Kricketune designed to either hit Pounce on one, if he goes for like a setup move. If I think he goes for a kind of anything, like it could be a Pounce lead. It also has Swords Dance. And Swords Dance is on this thing because, again, knowing how Ventus has played this season, this is a lot of player reading, I admit, but bear with me. He is favored doing some kind of a setup move in the Necrozma pretty much all season, so my logic was, if he goes for the Dragon Dance on one, I Swords Dance in front of him, I guarantee live any hit because I'm sashed, and then I kill him with something. Probably like X Scissor, and I get the Swarm boost because bug moves get that extra damage there. And mathematically, the bug damage boost from Swarm is actually a lot better on a higher base power move than Technician is at boosting a base 50 power move like Pounce or Felstinger. So I want to guarantee my KO instead of fishing, so we went for that instead. Also, if he went for Dragon Knights and I went for Pounce, he would still be faster than me at a base level, so it still was bad. So we took Leech Life. So we'll set this to slow, and actually I'm gonna be right back. Which scene is? Hold on, I'll be right back, fellas. I'm gonna just use the restroom. Okay, apologize for that. Thanks so much for waiting, fellas. I'm back. So, where was I? Right, team. Yeah, I want to outspeed, and this Kricketune meant to kill Necrozma. And if Necrozma didn't show up, it has Sticky Webs to set and die for. Sorry, I'm mute, so you guys don't have to hear gross bodily sounds. But let's look at Ventus's team real quick. To me, it felt very standard. No, he's brought along Ursula Blood Moon, Samurott for hazard support, Driftblim to probably either sweep my ass or clear hazards. He did tell me later the Pheasantipede is actually Technician, with certain moves to break through sashes and stuff like that, because I think it has double kick. And then he's got Arboliva, his best fire type, and of course Necrozma to probably set up and try to sweep me. So let's just get into the game here. I really enjoyed this game. It was really tight, and I go for the Kricketune lead, and I'm a genius. He goes for the Dragon Dance here, as I swords. And I'm in the call with him. He freaks out. He's like, what swords? He stone edges me trying to get that KO. I live that shit like a master. And I leech life with Swarm. Instant one shot. Back to 64%. Doesn't mean anything, but it looked really cool. Pheasantipede comes in here. Just goes for the dual wing beats. I mean, it's a Kricketune. What do you expect? And it gets the KO there. But Kricketune actually served a huge purpose. It punched a huge hole. Losing Necrozma was huge there for me. The Arboliva is brought in here in front of Kleavor. As I go for the Stone Axe, just trying to get some chip damage. It does reveal that it is actually Rocky Helmet, which is pretty good, actually. I get my hazards off, which feels really nice. I go for the Chiyu switch in here, expecting Arboliva to stay as a grass type, but he goes for the Terrifier, which is smart. Gets the Strength Staff buff, and even though Chiyu is, not very physically offensive, or, physical, that's actually a good amount of damage. I taunt there expecting, other things to go off, as the Earth Power comes out and chunks me pretty heartily there. I go for the switch into Enamorus, fearing another Earth Power, but he actually goes for the switch there too into Pheasantipede, which is really smart. I don't believe, I switch out here, not having a lot of confidence in my Enamorus. Blazing Jab comes out, that would have probably done a number on it. Healing a little bit back off that grassy terrain, as I believe he goes to the switch into Ursa. I Stone Axe here, just again trying to get some chip damage, and this motherfucker has Rocky Helmet on two things. I go for the Dunsparce switch here, feeling very safe. I wasn't sure if he was going to go for another move or a setup option or something, but he does go for the Calm Mind. As I get the para off, which is great. That felt awesome. And I get the Boom Burst, just to get it off, get my Throat Spray boost. And he goes for the second Calm Mind, which is now looking really scary. I believe here I D-Dance, or I go for the Dragon Tail, and he's paralyzed, which is huge for me. And I hit the Dragon Tail. I take the chip damage, sure, whatever. I roost if I need to. Get the switch into Samu. Samu taunts me, which is very annoying, but it's okay. I go for the boom anyway, dealing 78% with that +1. It's huge. Goes for the Ceaseless Edge. Actually, procs Rattled for me, which is hilarious. I ran Rattled this week just for that purpose. And I pick up the KO with the Detail. It's whatever, who cares. Pheasantipede comes in here. I'm still taunted, unfortunately. The double kick, I think it's the KO there. Yeah, 24 and 23% will do it. As I go down to that stupid bird. Kleavor comes back in here. I think I don't remember what I click. I don't think I go close. Do I go CC? No, I just keep going Stone Axe because I'm a stubborn bitch. I just hard switch back into Enamorus, expecting, something. There's the Moonlight, though, from Ursa, which is, fine. I go for the Moonblast, dealing 54%, and the para actually is huge there. And Ventus does make a smart play to just let it go. I think he just sacks it, knowing Ursa's probably not going to do a whole lot in the end game there as a paralyzed, less than half health Mon. Fez comes in here, staring at Enamorus. I go for the switch into Petra, predicting that. And I go for the Petra run switch as he U-turns, which is great. So I get the Keyberry boost. And I go for Malignant Chain Spam here. I don't roll that 50% para to start. He goes to the Leech Seed, which is quite annoying, but it's okay. I don't want to switch out here because I do have my boost. I go for the Malik Chain again, get the Toxic Confuse with Puppeteer. Goes for the Earth Power, which chugs me pretty hard, but I actually live that very comfortably because of my special defense investment. And he is... I think he's losing this race, as I just go for Recover here. And I believe he does roll the Earth Power, that's fine. 38%, so quite a bit of a lower roll there, it looks like. And of course, this Leech Seed battle is pretty annoying to deal with, but I am winning off of the Toxic stacking. There's the Gritflin with the Grassy Seed. I'm probably going to go for some kind of an Unburdened sweep. I'm still very stubborn. I'm staying in with the Leech Seed. He goes for the Calm Mind there. I think I just go for a Malik Chain. Yeah, there it is. I crit, which is awesome, but I don't roll my boost, which sucks. There's a second Calm Mind. You know, I think he's just trying to stack it up until he can just go for the easy KOs. But I get off the Confusion and Toxic, which is great. You know, still chipping me down with that stupid Leech Seed. But I go for the switch hand to Kleavor, thinking, okay, I can sack Kleavor here. That's no big deal. And there it is. I feel much safer sacking Kleavor there. I'd rather not lose Petrarch if I can avoid it. Also, this is now my opportunity to reset those stacks. And Emrys comes in here. And Drifloon actually huge turn for me. Hits itself in Confusion as the Moonblast actually brings it down to die to the Toxic, which is huge. Drifloon was probably the biggest threat on that team for me. Here comes the Fez. I think I just switch... Yeah, I switch into Chi-Yu there, which is, you know, it's whatever. Goes for the Dual Wing Beat. Yeah, unfortunately Chi-Yu does go down here, but I felt okay with that sacrifice. Because I knew Pecharunt and Amorous in the end game could really just finish it off, and I just needed to reset the move on an Amorous to Earth Power. And there it is. He goes with the Dual Wing Beat here, does a good 60% to me, which is fine. But, you know, I think that's all she wrote, really. The Earth Power will pick up the kill on the Fez, and this Arboliva comes in, takes 25 to the Stealth Rocks, is poisoned, is slower, and will go down to Earth Power. So, wow, it was a close game. Going 2-0 there felt really good. Again, a bit of a redemption arc for me. But, you know, Ventus has had a really, really, really good season, being one of two players to go pretty much flawless in the base season. So, huge props to him on his journey to, you know, on his path to the peak, as it were. Really put in the work, really put in the... You know, the dedication. And if you look at his stat spreads, he has probably some of the most creative, you know, spreads. It's all accounting for different things. I'm a bit of a chimpanzee and just kind of go, and just build what I think feels right. But, you know, Ventus really has supported this league from start to finish. You know, honestly, it wouldn't be a thing without his help in helping prepare the documents, helping keep track of scores. And really just kind of keeping track of all the technical work. I'm really just kind of the face of the league here. I'm sort of like the Japanese emperor during the feudal era. I didn't really have the power, but I was just sort of there. Yeah, no, Ventus, really good season to you, bro. Big props to probably some of the most consistently infuriating, in a good way, sets I've played against. Really showing kind of a mastery of Gen 9 OU. I mean, really, it's sort of like OU too. It's a draft league, so it's not quite OU, but you know. So really good of you. I expect you to be playing next season, unless for some reason you die. But yeah, no, it was really good. This was a really tight game. I felt super good about it at the end. And I mean, I had... You know, one Pokemon at 41 at 60, so this game was to the wire. Oh, sorry about that. But yeah, no, really, really good stuff. Um, I think really the deal sealer was the Drifloon, rolling the confusion and hitting itself. That I think, at least to me, made the world of a difference. Um, so another a little bit of an RNG game, but the plays on both sides I think were really tight. It feels weird to talk about my own plays in a way, but I felt like my switches were really were pretty on point, and the control was there. And same thing can be said about Ventus. His positioning and his control was really good. Losing Necro turn 1 was hilarious to me, but otherwise, really well done on the whole. Now we'll get into our last game here, which is Kick versus Cat Bomb. And both players when they got into this game were like, we've had no time to prep, so whatever. Kick's team is actually running something really interesting here. He's actually brought the Bramblegast here for the first time really this season, after picking it up toward the end of the trade period. And it's here because of Infiltrator to deal with the Espathra. Espathra's really made itself the boogeyman, being probably the biggest kill leader in the league. So no surprise people are looking for all sorts of tech to deal with it. I myself am going to have to look for some as well. Probably today or tomorrow or Thursday, before my game. But Kick is packing, his Slowking back Excalibur, which is really good. He's also brought along Magnezone, Vikavolt, and Low Kicks, which I think are just meant to just be generally good offensive options. I think Magnezone in particular is good into both the Kingambit and potentially even Kyurem, but Kyurem, of course, could just run Earth Power and ruin its day, but you never know. Cat Bomb's team is pretty, I would say, kind of a standard-ish looking team. He's brought Great Tusk Espathra to almost basically every game. And the Ditto as well. I mean, it's an Imposter Ditto. It's really annoying to deal with unless you're a Weezing. And then, of course, Kyurem is there. It's Kyurem. It's so good. And then he's brought along the pair of Rillaboom Sneasler. If I had to guess, it's the Unburdened Sneasler variant because it's paired with Rillaboom. That's kind of all it does. And this shit is annoying as hell to deal with in OU. And this isn't OU. It's worse. So we'll get into this one. I remember watching this one in person. I believe it was pretty fast of a game, but let's just see. There's the Low Kicks lead starting on the Great Tusk. This is a little bit of a rough lead because, I think Kick wasn't sure what to go with first. But just the Tusk. Tusk actually goes for the taunt here, which is really interesting. But Vika, I believe, is just 4 attacks. So he just goes for the Bug Buzz there. Gets the crit, which is really nice. The Brick Break does come out. Does a little bit of damage, a little bit of chip. Well, there's the E-Ball to pick up that KO, which is quite nice. And then the taunt actually falls off, which is awesome. Here's the Rillaboom. With the Grassy Terrain set up. Goes for Fake Out. Good chip there. And of course gets the flinch, so Vika actually can't get anything out of that. And then here's the Sneasler. There's the Grassy Seed. There's the Unburden. Bug Buzz does only a little bit of damage, 22% with the crit actually, so it's not very much. And there's the Terra Electric. As Sneasler goes for Swords. And there's the the agility there was maybe questionable. I think I would have gone for an attack there. Thunderbolt would have done like 70%. Just a healthy chunk. Because with Unburdened, you are never outspeeding a Sneasler. It is near impossible. But there's the first impression. Does a good chunk of damage there. 32% is not bad by any means. But there's the Acro, gets the KO. Not really surprising. And I think that's going to be pretty much the game here. Because everything is going to take a good chunk to the rocks on entry. As this Sneasler cannot be stopped. With Unburdened doubling its speed to something around the range of like 500. Almost 700 if it's max speed. There's almost no chance in hell. There's a Calm Mind there for some reason. I don't know. I would just be clicking attacks if I was in this position, but c'est la vie. And there it pretty much is. The Magnezone comes out, but it's gonna die to a close combat. There it is. Yeah, this was a rough game for sure, unfortunately. Um, but you know what? I gotta give it to Kick. You know, he made it all the way up to the, top into the semis, which is incredible. Um, Unfortunately, a bit of a rough game to end out on. But I would say all in all, he's done really well this season. He's um, having a consistent 4-4 performance, is really good. And he's pretty new, I would say, to competitive Pokemon. He did play in a previous league of ours, but that was a very different format. This is a whole other ball game, and so being able to piece together a really threatening team, I think his Baxcalibur is in top 10 in the KO race, which is awesome. He's really put it together, and I very much enjoyed watching his games. He comes in with really cool builds a number of the time, and sometimes he brings very standard things like loaded die Baxcalibur, which is fine. It's a good build. It's very, very good. Just a bit of a rough game to go out on, losing to the Sneasler. No one likes losing to this stupid Weasel. I hate looking at this thing. But you know what, Kick? Great performance. Rough game to close your season on, but you know what? You had a really good season. I'm expecting you to come back next season with a vengeance, and probably more bug types. But that's pretty much all I have for today. I thought I would have the motivation to do like a each player recap, but we'll probably save that for another time, maybe at the end of the season. But it does mean finals are this week, and it is between yours truly and Cat Bomb. At the very end here, we're gonna do one last look at the draft, to just look at the teams. We have this monstrosity of a team with all these heavy hitters and like a couple of random really low pointer support mons and Ditto. Kyurem is terrifying, Great Tusk, Sneasel, Rillaboom, even Azumarill is pretty threatening. The Espathra is like the league villain. So it'll be a really interesting game here. And then, of course, my draft is the double Sparse's Chi Pecha. Gliscor, Maushold, Cleavor, Ogerpon, Wellspring, Cram, my little guy, Enamorus, and then Kricketune and Trapinch. It's going to be a bit of an uphill battle, I think, for me, but you know what? We're going to give it our best shot. We're going to at least try to do our best to make it a good game to watch. And I hope, I'm probably not going to stream it, but I hope when you guys, whoever gets a chance to watch the replay, give it a watch. It's probably going to go up on Twitch, probably not quite maybe the end of the week, but at some point in the next a few days after, with a recap there, and then, probably discussion on player performances and how, at least some of us in the caster booth felt about the leagues, from start to finish. So hope you guys are along for that. It's going to be really exciting. Let's see. Oh, I forgot to update stuff, but that's fine, whatever. But yeah, no, I'm very excited. I hope you guys are as well. Okay, Chess, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. You can say hi, don't be shy. I'm just a guy. But yeah, guys, keep an eye out for that recap stream. It'll be a good one. It'll be exciting. You guys get to watch that finals game. It's gonna be great. I can promise you guys one thing, and that's that I'm bringing at least one normal type, so it'll be pretty spicy. Where's Pizza Box Ping? I don't know. Hit him up on Discord, bro. Because I'm about to sign off of the stream. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. I had a good time. I apologize. Still a little low energy. Did he make finals? I'm sorry. He didn't. We actually just watched his last game, and it did not go very well. But you know what? He had a great season. So I assume he'll be back next time for the summer split. To show up, maybe put up that top finish this time. But anyway, guys, again, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna go and think about how I'm gonna deal with Sneasler and Espathra. But till next time, hope you guys have a great day or whatever time zone it is, and I will see you all later. Bye-bye.